And so we're very excited about that. This is big, big time stuff in our world. It's a fellowship that physicians can go through to be certified pretty much. And those physicians that we talked about or that I mentioned up there, they pretty much are holding the other physician's hand and teaching them all how to do it. So it's a very, very good thing.
Meshea, so the DANs are converting to the...
Yes, DAN no longer exists, Defeat Autism Now. It is now converted to the MAPS. And there's we won't get into the reason why that is, but it's complicated. But now DAN is now MAPS, and it's going to be bigger and better. As a result of today, we're going to talk about several different biological abnormalities and autism spectrum disorders. Some of them we'll go into more detail with, and some of them are harder to understand, and I'm going to try to pretty much make it as general and brief and as easy to understand as possible. A lot of it, I mean, I have problems understanding because it gets complicated, it gets confusing, and I ask questions to Dr. Cow constantly, and I'm sure he's really sick of it. What we're going to talk about tonight are the biological abnormalities that create autism spectrum disorders in conjunction with whether it's genetic predisposition with genes or whatever it is. I don't know if we are in an agreement as to exactly where it comes from, but these things have something to do with it, and these are all biological abnormalities that exist in our children. Some of the children may have one of them, some of them may have all of them. My son has all of them. So he is, you know, you have the spectrum and he's on this side of it. You have some children are on that side of it. The more of these you have, the further over here you're going to be. So that these really do play a part in the autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so we're going to move on. Genetic susceptibilities. This just means that paired with, and I'm not going to go through all this, I actually thought these slides were taken out. This is just basically saying environmental factors paired with genetic susceptibilities is where we get the theorized cause of autism. The biomedical approach to treating autism proposes there are several biochemical alterations that occur as a result of a genetic predisposition with environmental triggers. And that's just a little, actually I got that from Dr. Cow, and I thought that was just a little visual that wakes everybody up. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is oxidative stress, immune system, methylation and transsulfation, toxic exposures, nutritional deficiencies, where we'll talk about the gluten, casein-free diet, mitochondrial insufficiency, and neuroinflammation, and then cerebral folate deficiency. Okay. Oxidative stress, low glutathione and burden of free radicals pretty much equals that you can't detox. And most of our kids can't detox. What is oxidative stress? Your body constantly, we're getting burdens all the time of stress, especially through our environment and our toxins. Free radicals interact with other molecules within cells. They cause oxidative stress or oxidative damage to proteins, membranes, and genes. You know, it is implicated in, this is not just autism. I mean, our world we're getting lots of new disorders and lots of more severe disorders because of oxidative stress. It causes cancer, Alzheimer's, and impacts us as an aging process. External factors such as pollution, sunlight, and smoking also trigger the production of free radicals. How do you combat it? Antioxidants, basically, and I'm not going to go through all of that. Again, you can read things like this when I email you. So basically, antioxidants. What's the greatest is glutathione. It's the most important antioxidant that we produce, and it can repair that damage. You can test levels of glutathione in children. That's one of the tests that you can do with your doctor to get an indication that if you have this underpinning. So you can do this test, and in the majority of children with autism, you will see that marker be low. So most children do have that low biomarker of glutathione. Selenium is another good antioxidant, and it's found to be low in children with autism too. You can supplement with selenium. And that just shows a glutathione level. The reference range is 800 to 1500, and you've got a child here with 640, so quite a bit lower than the reference range. Okay, so the next is immune dysregulation in the GI tract in the brain. Basically, immune dysregulation is going to result in inflammation, poor absorption of proper nutrients, dysbiosis, which is where you get your yeast, and overgrowth of gut bugs, as we call them. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm moving the table around. Have I been doing that long? Reabsorption of toxins rather than elimination of them. Basically, not detoxing. And that just shows a kiddo who has Klebsiella pneumoniae in the gut, and it's a 4+, which means it's really high, and you don't want that. Immune dysfunction, consequences for the gut. We talked about a little bit about gluten-free, and we will continue to talk about gluten-free, but leaky gut, increased intestinal permeability. Development of food sensitivities. You can't absorb nutrients. You can't eliminate toxins. You have chronic diarrhea or constipation. My child would go to the bathroom once every 7 days, although my pediatrician told me that was all right as long as he wasn't in pain. Well, how do you know when your non-verbal child is in pain? Disruption of normal bacteria or flora, and then overgrowth of potentially pathological organisms such as yeast, Clostridia, which my son still battles with from time to time. And these are just slides of abnormal gut linings that they have scoped. And you can see the inflammation right there. That's not normal. You don't want that. Okay, so the next underpinning, weakened methylation and transsulfation. This one is harder for me to understand than most anything. So basically, I think that pretty much this is the code word. You can't detox. It's just saying more about that. Your methylation system is not working. But one thing that we know that you can do about that is methyl B12. It helps out. I talked a little bit about Trey getting his methyl B12 injections, and some of you may be doing that, and some have not. If you are, then you know that it's you can do methyl B12 injectables from a compounding pharmacy that your physician can prescribe. Typically they're given every 3 days, and we used to give them to Trey when he was asleep in his hip area because it has the most fat there, and they're very painless. I mean, if he doesn't want to take his, I take his sometime, and I don't kill him. I went to the doctor and they were like, your methyl B12 level is really high when they drew my labs, and I was like, oh, I don't know why. I have no idea. Why would that be? So methyl B12 injections can do some really good things. You can get more cognitive. I mean, like I said, we saw huge things with this with Trey. He's a little bit more cranky about taking them now than he was, so we're still working on that. There are other forms of methyl B12. There's sublingual tablets. Numedica is a company that makes a sublingual methyl B12, and it's absorbed a little bit better than just swallowing a pill. They make transdermal and nasal sprays too. So if your child can't take injections, it would be good to kind of explore some of those other methods if you would be interested in that. The one side effect that you can get from methyl B12 is increased energy and hyperactivity, and for some of you, you probably do not want that to be happening in your child. But the benefits typically with methyl B12 outweigh that side effects. Toxic exposures is a big one, is a big underpinning in autism. So it can be any of those. You get it from industrial chemicals, mercury, lead, arsenic, pesticides. It can, and this is in anybody, this is not just in autism. These are the things that industrial chemicals exposure does to people, and you know, it's affecting more than just children on autism. It's affecting all of us, women, men, everybody. So if we can get away from those. Inflammation is a huge one in children with autism. So I think that's one of the main things that that this does to our children.